Hello. Excuse us for any noises in the background. The show that just finished before us is still packing their stuff away, and I think they pulled an all-nighter, so apologies for that. We will be having our regularly scheduled show probably in about 2 or 3 minutes once Mark and Max can sit down. Here we go. They are seating. I'll turn your mics on, boys. Hello.
Hello, is our mic set up, or are we just going to be like screaming
I'm kind of freewheeling
they weren't
here.
speaking to themselves all night.
Yeah.
Just not airing anything, just speaking.
Yeah.
To be fair, that does sound like fun. You could say whatever you want and no one would know.
Yeah. Well,
Except
unless
me.
people are listening.
Well, so what, like a normal conversation?
What, when the microphones aren't on?
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm sorry.
Well, I'd know what you were saying.
Yeah, I currently can't hear anything in these headphones. But...
Yeah, neither can I, but we'll figure out. I'm sure it's working.
Yeah,
we'll have faith. If you are listening and it's not working, you won't hear this message, but message in and tell us it's not working. Right. It's been a bit of a crazy start. I'll get my book out. You guys can talk for a second.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How was your weekend?
It was good, yeah, it was good. I'm trying to think what I did. And I can't really think of anything I did. What did I do over the weekend?
Did you do any uni work? Of course you didn't.
I did.
Oh.
I did actually. So
At what time? 4 a.m?
No, I did a nice long work session on Saturday. Starting at like 11.
Workout?
Work session.
Oh, what is a workout?
No.
Come on, Mark.
No one believe I did a workout.
No one would believe that, would they? Right. Hello.
Hello.
I feel like we should almost restart, but we'll run.
Hello. Welcome to
NFLementary.
That's nice.
It's a cold Tuesday morning, and it's our review episode. Good week of NFL action, unless you're a Panthers fan or anything of the type.
A Bengals fan.
Well, I feel like if you're a Bengals fan, you're kind of used to this level of mediocrity, aren't you?
I told you this would happen when everyone was like, "Oh, they're going to the playoffs at 4-2." Oh yeah, 4-2. That's great.
I never said
Tampa
they were going
Bay
to the
regularly
playoffs.
go to 4-2.
I said they would challenge for the playoffs.
Challenge? What are they challenging?
Themselves.
Other teams to see how many points they can score.
How rubbish. How you can redefine the word rubbish.
Yeah, that is true.
Do you know what I think would have been funny is if Hugh Jackson had gone to like the Patriots just because...
And screwed them up as well.
Well, yeah, more just to see how much of a handicap can we give the Patriots and then still make
and
the
then
playoffs.
still win, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Right, as always, we open the show with the rewind.
Oh, Lord.
And it's my turn this way.
Rewind.
I'm so
Thank you,
happy
Mark.
I don't have to do that for like...
For what? Ever?
No, for like 6 weeks.
You might have to do a playoffs rewind, though.
so
and then
much-
you've got a minute to fill.
Oh, that's fine. I think
dear.
I'll have more time to do it though.
True, yeah. Well, this is the last one of the term, isn't it? We should probably say this is our last Tuesday show of the term. We will, of course, be back on Thursday. So don't go abandoning your headsets just yet, or your radios if anyone's still listening on that on the university campus, because that's the only place you can listen to it.
Can you listen to it on the radio on uni campus?
Yeah, 1350 AM, but only on university
what's
campus.
AM?
It's like you have FM and AM.
How do you get onto AM?
You just push a button
you just
normally,
keep rolling with the things.
like you click mode loads of times and it goes onto AM. I don't know.
Wow.
Alternatively, just listen online.
Yeah.
Because you probably have a laptop.
A little bit easier.
Listen online. I think that's what pretty much everyone does.
Yeah. Interestingly, if you are listening online, send us a message via the little box, uoi.org.uk, or text in 07851 101313. We'll take any and all messages today because I'm just feeling like we should try and avoid talking about the Panthers for as long as possible.
Oh,
so...
I want to talk about the Panthers. Thank you very much. I don't care if anyone else doesn't want to.
Right. Shall we crack on with the rewind then?
Yeah.
Let's have the jingle one more time, Mark.
Ricka, rewind.
Thank you very much. This is the bed I've chosen for my rewind today.
Oh, God.
Are you going to be singing like in like
The balloons.
Yeah, like that.
Not quite. I just think, it was a nice chill week. Nothing major happened. There's not much we really need to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
I'm going to start off. So obviously we had the Thanksgiving games this week. Lions losing to the Bears. It was easy as ABC for Eddie Jackson with 5 defensive touchdowns since he entered the league in 2017. Jackson 5 joke for everyone there.
Yep.
Cowboys beating out the Redskins. When the ball hits your hands and you run 90 yards, that's Amari Cooper.
God.
Saints beating out the Redskins. I'm just going to say life is easy when you got Breezy. There's not really much else to say. There was a Carsonist in Philly on Sunday burning down the Giants' defense. That joke I kind of had to make for because he didn't have that great a game, but Fournette was taking the blame in the Bills-Jags game. Get it? Because he felt. Hashtag fire Rivera. There's no joke there. Ravens beating out the Raiders. We had a Le Marvelous recovery, as they would say in France.
What is this mess?
Then the Bucs beating out the 49ers. Hopefully they can foster some success through their recent personnel changes.
That's harsh.
Controversial one there. Bengals losing to the Browns. We have the third Jackson feature today. A huge disaster. Jets losing to the Patriots. There was a Cruz Michelle on display in New York that day.
What is that?
Rivers keeps flowing in Los Angeles with the Chargers beating out the Cardinals. Thank you very much. In other news, Big Ben is still undergoing repairs and the Steelers lost. The Colts beat out the Dolphins with Adam Vinatieri tearing it up. Nice. Adam is feeling it. Are you? He broke the record for 100-yard games in a season as the Vikings beat out the Packers. And then finally, to no one's surprise, the Titanic sunk again. And that was this week in the NFL.
What was that hot mess?
I thought that was good. I thought that was the best one I've done, potentially. Maybe I need to be more angry when I do them like the first time I did it.
Yeah. It's just a bit chill, isn't it? Like,
yeah, that's my style. I'm laid back. I'm cool. Before these two message in, if anyone wants to let us know what they would have scored that, i.e. a 10 out of 10, please feel free. Anyone?
Oh, I was going to message in and say that.
What should we give it?
You know what? I haven't had my toast this morning. That's probably it.
So it's relative, obviously. So we gave you a 10-point, like 2-3 or something.
Yeah, what was the first one we gave you? A 7?
First one you gave me was 7, then I got an 8, but you weren't here.
Oh.
So I should get bonus points because Mark wasn't here that time.
Should we say 6? I think his first one was better.
What? Are you serious?
6 then, yeah.
There were some classics in here.
6. Dude, there was no...
The Amari joke.
Yeah, that pulled up from a 5.
Oh. Might just quit.
The Jackson 5.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a Jackson 5.
Well,
yeah, you could have had 6. You didn't want it, so you got a 5.
Yeah, you've got a Jackson 5.
Unacceptable, I would say, and so would a character from Adventure Time. But, you know. Anyway, that was the rewind for this week. You are why. Right. A couple of things to talk about. So, firstly, if we look back at our predictions, I've totted them all up. Mark, no. Oh,
yeah, I know.
Max, you're the loser this week. You had 10 and me and Mark had 11.
Can we be real? The real loser is me for not plugging it in on my weekly.
Interestingly, though.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot to put it in. I mean, admittedly, I'm already like 500 points behind everyone else.
I was just going to say, I checked my weekly pick'em, and I must have chosen differently because I did really well on the pick'em this week. And I think...
we all did really well in our predictions.
No, but the weekly pick'em, I did better on than that.
Really?
Because I didn't do the same predictions.
Did you still pick the Titans?
No, I'm pretty sure I picked the Texans.
That must explain it. So myself and Mark with 11 points, Max with 10 points. There's also a couple of prophetic moments I had last week.
Oh, here we go. What, like Carolina losing?
I'll open with
Carolina
Chase
sucking.
Daniel. Or Chase, is it Chase Daniel or Chase Daniels? Who knows? You probably. That's why I'm looking at you.
I think it's Chase Daniels.
Let's go with Daniels. Chase Daniels, who I said would prove the meh-ness of Trubisky in the sense that Daniels would have a good game in that Nagy offense. And guess what? He did. He had a great game.
It's Chase Daniel.
Oh,
well, actually, it's William Chase Daniel. He's been lying to us all.
Will Daniel.
Yeah.
Will Chase Daniel.
Right, anyway.
What?
Yeah. Chase Daniel had a good game. Was that due to Nagy and the game plan, or is that the most damning indictment on that Lions defense you can possibly do?
Well, here's the thing. Mitchell Trubisky has a better completion percentage this year. He has... I think better QBR stats than Brady. He has it's not completion, but it's something in passing wise he has better than. Point is, overall, he's played better than Brady this year statistically. So I don't think Trubisky is that bad. I know Brady has been criminally average this year for his standards.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought they'd win this game, and I thought I think Trubisky comes back next week, I think. And I thought in my mind it was just get out basically with the win. And they did. Chase Daniel did play really well. I think it's a combination of the fact that the Lions just suck.
Yeah.
So hard.
On this note, I did want to say, what has Matt Patricia actually done for the Lions, if you look at it?
Win against the Patriots.
Beyond that.
And do you know what? I think that's what he'll do every year. I think he'll have a couple of big wins against teams he shouldn't because teams, slip up.
Yeah, and play down to the Lions.
He is not the guy for the job.
If anything, the Lions have got through the first 3 or 4 months of the season on the strength of their offense, not their defense. And given that he's, the defensive mastermind who dominated New England every year, for that to be the case and him to not be able to improve a Lions defense, which, let's be honest, has some good players on it. Ziggy Ansah at edge, Darius Slay at cornerback. Yeah. They've got, can't remember one of their linebackers' names, but he's young and good. They have pieces there. Yeah, it's not the Jags defense on paper or anything like that, but they should be able to perform a lot better than they are performing. And for him to be this mastermind who's not able to produce those results,
well, maybe it was never him in the first place. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't him in the first place. I think that's pretty clear. Yeah. Stafford has taken a few steps back. And when I say a few, I mean many, because he is not that good this year, and he is better than this.
To be fair, I don't think he's been as good at all since he got paid. Since he got paid big money, I think he's...
That's a fair point.
I think
he's...
Blake Bortles.
Yeah, but Blake Bortles was never...
He was never good, but what he did is he deceived that organisation to believe that he was good, get his money, get his coordinator fired, get benched, and get paid.
We'll talk about this.
I think Derek Carr is a similar example where he was decent, but I think he got paid too much too soon.
Do you know what, though, with Derek Carr, I have to say, I think it's something slightly different. I think when he broke his leg, I think he lost his nerve.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can just play with that such ease. He's still one of the best in the league for completion. He's still racking up the yards. He's turning the ball over, which I think is the problem. But I think it's because when you see him in the pocket, he's like a deer in headlights.
Interesting. I'll bring this up now. It's something I'm going to, I think, start referring to a lot more. On the NFL Next Gen stats page, you can find, they have a whole quarterback passing stats. It's super interesting. I'd recommend everyone to go and have a look at it. What they have is they have a completion, they obviously track the completion percentage, but they also track the expected completion percentage. So it's based on things like how open the receiver was, pressure on the quarterback, how difficult the throw was, and it's kind of boiling it all down to numbers, which yes, it's, you can go too far with it, but at least provides some kind of illusory into it all. So for example, Drew Brees his expected completion percentage is 66.4. Drew Brees is currently completing 76.4% of his passes, so Drew Brees is 10% over his expected completion percentage. Cam Newton is fifth in this metric, expected to complete 64% of his passes, currently completing 69.6% of his passes. If we look at some of the names we can talk about, Stafford, expected to complete 65.7, he's completing 67, so his over expected completion percentage is 1.3, which is kind of middle of the pack. Trubisky, similar story, 1.1. Derek Carr currently is sitting on an expected completion percentage of 68.9, and his actual completion percentage is 68.5. So he's negative 0.5, which suggests that the scheme is helping him, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So when we talk about how Derek Carr was playing with ease all those years ago, Jack Del Rio's scheme wasn't friendly to a quarterback. So it's weird for him to be able to perform in that scheme there, and then in a Gruden scheme.
But this is the thing: the scheme is not helping, because Gruden's scheme is atrocious. I genuinely think it's an anomaly with him where he has completely lost his nerve, and his protection is poor, which means he's turning the ball over because he's making decisions he shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And it's the Eli effect in a way. If you look at what's happening in New York, the reason he's turning the ball over so much is because, well, not in the last few weeks, to be fair, but his offensive line is criminally bad, to the point where if you're not like a Russell Wilson, Cam Newton sort of player that can escape the pocket.
I did see a stat interesting. Eli's he's on course for some like career bests in terms of yards and completion percentages, and also his career highest in sacks. So maybe if you got him a good O-line, he could still perform next year.
I'm just saying.
Don't go down that
How to trigger a Giants fan. But also we should talk about the Thanksgiving games. Amari Cooper going off, and kind of building on what we just said about Derek Carr and the Raiders. Was Amari Cooper shackled by that Raiders offense?
Kind of, because I think when they targeted him, it was hot and cold. He'd have really big games. But the thing with Dallas is they have no choice.
Yeah.
Which helps him personally. But I have to say, he helps them.
Yeah,
because
big time.
he's really good. And I think people questioned if he was really good based on the inconsistency in Oakland, but so far he's 3 for 3 in Dallas.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not as if he's gone from Oakland to New Orleans or New England or Green Bay, where he has like a definitive, or even somewhere like Washington, where he has like, well, not anymore, but where he has an accurate quarterback who can like throw him the ball, and you can't pin all the Derek Carr comparisons, because let's be honest, Dak Prescott is at times can seem like a similar comparison to Derek Carr in that, well, I mean, not really, no, but just in terms of like middle of the pack quarterbacking. And Dak, if anything, is less accurate than Derek, and more liable to use his feet to kind of scramble and escape from trouble. So for Amari Cooper to be producing there, and equally, I mean, it's not as if he's gone from a bad scheme to a good scheme, because is it Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator? He's no offensive guru. He's still stuck in the 90s with Zeke. So for him to have a game like that, and I think it will tell over these last few weeks of the season whether that first round pick was a valid investment, because the Cowboys may have just unearthed kind of a gem who was being completely underappreciated in his previous resting spot.
I actually kind of think they have done well here, because he's 24 years old and he's been in the league for a few years. He's got experience, but he's still really young. Yeah. So I'd be really happy to draft Amari Cooper in the first round next year.
The problem is they're going to have to pay him. But if he performs like this, he's probably worth paying.
But they can afford to, though.
A load of money. Because they like spending money on big players.
They have lots of money, and they don't have to pay Dak or Ezekiel Elliott
for another couple
of years yet. So they can structure it in a way where they can
front load it.
Yeah, exactly. Do what they did with Jimmy G. Get the money out of the way now, so you can afford to build later.
Yeah. Well done, Amari. And finally, on our Thanksgiving recap, Mark, last week on Thursday we introduced a new segment, or it might be Tuesday, I can't remember. It
would have been Tuesday, yeah.
Called Saints Watch.
Indeed, I have
a throwback to the old Sega theme tune. For the nostalgic gamers in the room. So in this week's Saints Watch, they won. And that's all for this week's Saints Watch. Thank you very much for listening. Oh no, I've lost my jingle jangle.
You are why.
Thanks, Mark. Right, Eagles come back against the Giants. So I do want to talk about this. We'll get on to some of the more meaty topics
That's a weird
later.
Phrase.
Do the Eagles have a realistic chance of success this season?
No.
Yes, because of the Panthers.
Oh. Well, we won't. Do we talk about the Panthers now? I've been trying to delay it as much as possible.
I have a whole kind of like thing I want to explain with the Panthers.
Should we talk about the Panthers?
Yeah, let's go.
What people
Hashtag
don't
fire Rivera.
realize.
Hashtag fire Rivera.
Maybe. But
Definitely.
What people don't realize is now the Panthers are 6-5, they have opened up so many teams to not only get into the playoffs, but completely take over the Panthers in the pecking order, right? So when you consider the fact that the Eagles are 5-6, all they need is one game to tie with the Panthers, but then obviously because the Panthers beat the Eagles would need to win 2 games, right?
Yeah.
But when you consider that the Panthers in their last 5 games have to go to Tampa. Now, I'll admit, I'm not saying Tampa are going to win, but that's a scary game when your defense is that bad.
Yeah.
They've then got to go to Cleveland, which should seem like an easy win.
No.
But Atlanta thought it was an easy win. And let's face it, if it wasn't for the kicker, Pittsburgh would have lost to them, New Orleans would have lost to them, and Oakland should never have lost to them, right?
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, by the way, compare his stats to when he was playing with Hugh Jackson to now. Yeah. The difference is immense.
So we'll talk about Baker later.
Difference is immense, right?
Yeah.
You've got to play Atlanta. I know it's at home, but it's a division game, and Atlanta have nothing to lose by that point in the season, so they may as well go for it.
I'm just trying to annoy you.
And you still have to play the New Orleans Saints twice. All I'm saying is at 6-5, I can see you at worst 8-8. Because I think you can still win a couple of those games. But if you finish 8-8,
well, here's the thing.
Eagles can finish 9-7. That's good enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are 6-5.
Yeah.
The Vikings are still 9-6-1. Okay, the Redskins like no, it's not funny anymore. The Seahawks, if they finish 9-7, the Panthers have to finish 10-6 because they lost to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And that's me considering the Vikings are going to win their enough games. I've got the Vikings up here because they do have a bit of a gauntlet. Away to the Patriots, away to the Seahawks, the Dolphins, away to the Lions, the Bears.
That away to the Seahawks game is going to be monstrous.
Yeah. So, but if they could beat New England. They probably won't, though. They could beat Seattle. They probably won't. But I think they could win their last 3 games. Miami, at Detroit, Chicago.
So that makes them 9-6-1.
Chicago.
That makes them 9-6-1. Because of a tie, it means that the Panthers have only 7 losses, which means that they're below them too.
Yeah.
The point is the Eagles can make it still, in spite of the Cowboys winning the division. The Vikings can still win it. The Bears are obviously there anyway, so the Vikings would be a wild card potentially.
Yeah.
The Seahawks can now get in, which means the Panthers, in losing these 3 games, and especially losing this game to the Seahawks,
100%.
has opened up the wildcard race so much.
What the Panthers have done is just complete. Like we were
Made the
6.
league
We were
exciting,
6-2.
Yeah.
6-2. That's like top 5 team in the NFL level, especially given our early season schedule. And then we've done this, and it was 3 games where look, Pittsburgh. I thought we'd win it, but when we lost, it's in Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football. We've spoken about how Thursday Night Football unfairly favours the home team. And, that's just the way it is. We lost. Great. Move on. You then had 10 days to prepare for a game against Detroit. Detroit, who are basically the whooping boys of the NFC North at this stage, who occasionally show up for a big game. And when they show up, they show up. They didn't show up against us. They scored 20 points on a defense, which is probably top 5, top 10, if you're being generous, in the league. And we still lost that game. Why we lost it, we're not going to get into. We spoke about that last week, but we lost it. This week, the Seahawks, we always play well in that. Well, we always play well in the last 3 years. Recently, we've played really well against the Seahawks. It's always been a good game historically. Yes, the Seahawks, I think Russell Wilson is 6-2 against Panthers, obviously since he came into the league.
Do you remember 6-2?
Oh,
I know. Pete Carroll is something like 7-3 or whatever. The Seahawks do tend to beat us.
73. Don't be harsh.
But it's always a good game, and it was another great game. But so many things happened in the game that you could almost be like, "This is the moment we lost. This is the moment we lost. This is the moment we lost. This is why we lost." 7 consecutive run calls in the red zone. I'm not being funny, but if it didn't work the first 4 times, you should probably try something different. A turnover and downs is a pretty big alarm bell that your game plan isn't working. Running Cam straight into the Seahawks' biggest players. I don't care how big he is. I don't care how great he is. I don't care how much you're pinning everything on him. Cam can't do it. I think it was super telling. We ran Cam something like 7 times on the opening drive. Panthers coaches run Cam when they start panicking about the hot seat underneath them. If you look back, Cam runs more and more as you get into the end of the season because the Panthers coaches are worried about the record and they know that they need to spend even more on Cam. That game was super telling. Cam, I was going to say led the team in rushing. He definitely didn't. McCaffrey had a huge game. Yeah. But we were talking before the show, McCaffrey fumbled the ball 4 times, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
People fumble the ball. McCaffrey is an elite NFL player. Elite NFL players don't fumble the ball by chance. They definitely don't fumble the ball 4 times by chance. They might do it once or twice, sure. When you're running back fumbles the ball 4 times, what do? Give him a goddamn break. The guy has played, I think, 98% of our snaps this season. He is a running back. That would be an impressive figure for even a receiver, a lineman. A lineman, it would be an incredibly impressive figure. Even a cornerback, a running back, and given his role in the offense, he touches the ball more than anyone else. If he gets less than 25 touches a game, he's had a quiet game, which is stupid, and yet he's on the field every play. What we should do is have some kind of backup there who could take snaps in running situations and maybe be some kind of running threat. Someone like, I think CJ Anderson is in the free agent pool. It would be great if we did have him, and then we somehow let him go, which, I don't blame him for it because he played about 3 snaps, touched the ball about once every 3 or 4 weeks, just to kind of, it's like throwing him scraps. And I know McCaffrey is incredible, and I know he's probably after Cam our greatest offensive threat, but no one can sustain that level of just intensity and slamming into players every play. No wonder he fumbled the ball 4 times. I'm surprised his hands aren't just smacked up and he has bones left.
And I think you can see it when he runs. Like, he'll have that burst of acceleration, but he doesn't seem to have the speed he used to have where... Yeah. Like that massive breakaway run he had. Yeah, he ran for like 60 yards, and he would finish that run last year. Yeah,
and he would finish that run in the first few weeks of the season.
He would have gone all the way, but
he's absolutely knackered. And then what did they do after he made that massive run? He's just run 60 yards. In any other NFL team in the country, that means give the guy a break. No, he just came in and we ran him up the middle 3 more times for a touchdown. Yeah, we got a touchdown. That's not productive. We're going to ruin his knees. He'll have to retire when he's like 28, and we'll have lost one of the greatest defensive players probably the NFL will see this century.
Whoa, okay, let's not even start with that. But even to that point, the Seattle Seahawks defense played really well, especially their front seven. Russell Wilson was clutch. He played super well.
Just smart football, really smart football. And Chris Carson had a great game.
And I think the worst thing for Carolina is it exposed...
Mark has Carson in his fantasy. So.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And I think the worst thing is it came on a day which was exposing Carolina's defense for what it really is, which is aged and past its sell-by date.
Yeah.
And I definitely
think time to start again.
And it helps that the Seahawks are on this sort of rolling... Like they've got some momentum now. They were kind of out of the playoff picture, even though they were like technically still in. It was like, oh, if they lose this week, the Rams clinch the division.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, nope. And now they just seem to be like, no, we're going to keep
Here's the
going.
thing with Seattle going into the playoffs. They still got to play the 49ers twice. They still got to play the Cardinals. Like if they don't get to at least 9 wins. Yeah. I think they'll finish 10-6, which is remarkable for their, rebuild year. Everyone wants Pete Carroll for that because he's really smart, obviously.
I mean, I don't think they'll go far in the playoffs at all, but just...
Well, you say that, but they still have, they're one of the most scary teams because you'll play them in the wildcard round, and yes, they're in a rebuild year, but they're not your typical rebuilding team. They still have Pete Carroll, they still have Russell Wilson, they still have...
They have an offensive line which is growing.
Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, they have
all
receivers.
These players with kind of playoff experience who have been there, done it. Got the t-shirts, got the hats, etc.
And the trophy.
And they, they can do it again.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that the Seattle Seahawks this year have been like, oh, look at us, we're the runners, look at our run game, blah blah blah. And it's just like the Saints last year when the Panthers played them. We went in and, we stopped the run. We held Seattle to 75 yards rushing, which is good by their standards. They were averaging something like 175 yards per game. And what happened? Russell Wilson was just like, cool, I'll just throw it then. Yeah. Our D-line is old. Doesn't really get any pressure whatsoever. Kawan Short's just on his own trying to do everything. Funnily enough, that's not a good game plan. Mario Addison sometimes pops up and does stuff. Our linebackers are then having to cover for all their mistakes. Our secondary is thin at the best of times, which was proven by the fact that we had 4 corners active on game day, 2 slot corners and 2 outside corners. So when Dante Jackson went down injured on the first play of the game, we had to play a slot corner outside, either Captain Munnelin, who's just absolute poo-poo, to use a word I can say on air, and Corn Elder, who's young and has never played outside in the NFL in his life. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to get beat. The 4th and 3 touchdown to David Moore, that was against Corn Elder. The massive chunk play at the end of the game, I think it was to Tyler Lockett, that set up the field goal. Who was that against? Bradbury, and then Captain Munnelin.
Wait, is his name Captain?
Yeah, his first name's Captain. It's cool, but,
he sucks.
Cool names get you nowhere in the NFL. He does suck, and the problem is we're paying him so much that we kind of have to play him. You can say, look, it was an injury. Your coach and your general manager and all these other kind of players, all these other kind of figures in your team should have some kind of backup plan for a situation like that. You never go into... It's like going into a game with one active quarterback, and then your quarterback goes down injured, and you're like, oh, you would have won the game if the quarterback wasn't injured. Do something about it. Just get in some help. There are loads of old people out there who can probably at least have experience of playing corner. I would have had bloody Darrell Revis.
The guy's retired. I don't think he's going to call it retirement for the Carolina Panthers.
I don't know.
I was going to call you Cleveland Browns, but, they're better.
We're going that way, I'll tell you that much.
So when is the last week of the regular season? Is it?
End of December.
End of December?
Yeah.
So are we going to do a who we predict is going to the playoffs on Thursday?
I think you're staying up in York for a bit, aren't you?
I'm staying up in York.
Yeah. So we might just come in here and record some videos for the YouTube. For the people.
But yeah, to get back to the initial point was the Eagles. Looking at their schedule, it is hard, but they still have to play the Redskins twice, and it's the Colt McCoy Redskins. I mean, Christ, if you can't beat that. They do have to go away.
Colt McCoy didn't have the game.
They do have to go away to Dallas, which I think could be the key game here.
Yeah.
I think they can return the favor, but we'll see. And then they've got to go away to the Rams, and then they've got to host the Texans. So it is a hard gauntlet. It is a hard gauntlet, but they can do it.
Yeah.
And if they get to 9 wins, we're basing this on the presumption, by the way, that Carolina will get to 9-7, 10-6. which they might not even do yet.
I think we're going 6 and 10.
I think their momentum has nosedived.
I'll pick us to win every week, but it's almost I want us to go 6 and 10 because then that gives Tepper an excuse.
You don't ever want your team to lose, no matter how much you want your coach gone.
But if we go 6 and 10, we can get Ron out, and then we've got a higher pick to pick an actual genuine edge rushing talent in this draft, rather than.
You don't ever want to pick your team.
Look, I'm going to pick them to win every week. I'm just saying, if we go 6 and 10, and it means Ron Rivera goes, that's a better outcome for me.
I'm telling you right now, if you lose to Cleveland, I will never let that one go.
Even the Rams under Jeff Fisher, I was there like, come on,
win
this week.
Don't get me. I'm still wearing my Panthers shirt. I'll still be supporting them every week. But like, there's a lot I would sacrifice to get rid of Ron Rivera. In terms of like the Panthers' success on the field.
Anyway,
moving forward, I do. Seeing as we were speaking about the Eagles game, I want to say about the Giants. Saquon had a big game, right? But in the second half, when they had, what was their league? It was something like 21-7. I don't know. They had a massive lead up, or 19-7.
It was 19-11, I think.
Yeah. Saquon then in the second half had 5 touches for 8 yards.
Yeah, it was.
Your running back. You're winning. You need to wind the clock down. And you give him the ball 5 times.
I was watching this game live because I believe it was on Sky.
Yeah.
And I was really, really confused because I'm like, okay, did he get injured or something coming out the tunnel at halftime?
Do you want me to give you my theory?
Go on.
It's the Shula effect. Mike Shula, former offensive coordinator for the Panthers, now sitting in New York with Pat Shurmur. Mike Shula, notorious for his inability to manage a game, to manage the clock, to leave the Panthers in fourth quarter crazy situations with his stupid play calling, and maybe those bad habits have transposed up to New York.
That's on Pat Shurmur because you cannot take
100%.
away that sort of transcendental talent. And look at what he did in the first half and say, okay,
look at what Saquon has done all year behind an O-line that can't really run block for him. And he's still producing probably at least numbers which put him in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I think he's number 2 or 3 in total scrimmage yards.
Which is crazy. Yeah. Like, he's been, as much as the running back, I mean, we can see with McCaffrey how many yards you get just from pure checkdowns or whatever, but you still need to be open. And it's not as if he's only getting his yards from catching, kind of like McCaffrey was last year. He's rushing the ball as well successfully. Some of his rushes are insane. He gets hit behind the line of scrimmage loads and still makes good plays. And it was funny that the biggest kind of thing against Saquon when he was coming out of college was, he tries to go for the big play too much and he can't grind out the yards. Well, we've seen this year, he does both.
He has no choice.
I mean, so I think I heard a stat that Kareem Hunt is the hardest running back to tackle or something, but I don't think that's true. I think Saquon Barkley is I
think Saquon is far more elusive than anyone that's in the league right now, which makes him harder to bring down.
I mean, biologically, the man is built like a
tank,
like perfectly, because his legs are just ginormous, which means his center of gravity is so low, which means he can essentially squat and run at the same time, which means you're not going to tackle him and bring him down. He's just insane. He's redefined I don't think he's redefined the running back position, but he's a new breed. Definitely turned it up a notch.
A bit like McCaffrey. So I feel that you have your Leonard Fournettes, which I think we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Who are just sort of big, powerful. Well, well, a bit like Mark Ingram, banned. So, just sort of your big, powerful running backs. And then, McCaffrey is just sort of like a weedy speed.
I think
a weedy speed.
When you compare,
I've seen him.
When you compare,
he's chunky.
Barkley to Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott can still catch, but Ezekiel Elliott's primary
more of a pure runner
to run. Barkley will never be that because the Giants will never provide him the opportunity to be that.
I want to see Saquon Barkley go under someone. Actually, them to jump and he goes underneath their legs.
We saw a full-on flip this week, which he then carried on the run, which is amazing.
That was cool. I will say that.
His mum didn't like it though.
What do you mean?
He said that his mum doesn't like him flipping and he's not allowed to do it again.
I love that. Shout out to Chris Carson's mum. That's made me smile. Yeah.
You
are why. And it's time for another flashback to a Mystic Column moment. Do you remember when I wanted to talk about the Bills and the Jags last week, and you guys said why, and I said, well, this is the kind of game. This isn't the walkover you're going to expect. And what happened? It's like a Browns Falcons moment from a couple of weeks ago. I just have a habit of calling these games. What can I say? Bill showed up.
They did. Josh Allen may actually be all right.
No.
This is...
no.
Well... Josh Allen is currently, if we go back to those...
he had less than 50% completion.
Yeah, if we go back to those expected completion percentage thingamajigs, Josh Allen is currently bottom of the league with an expected completion percentage of 65.2 and a real completion percentage of 52.5. So he's on negative 8.1. Interestingly, actually, I've just seen this. Oh no, actually, I've made that up. His actual completion percentage is 52.5 and his... real completion percentage, his expected completion percentage is 60.6, so that's the minus 8.1. Yeah, I did. As much as he's not your conventional quarterback, there is something to him, and he just kind of. I don't know if it's just the kind of like first round rookie effect, and the fact that the Bills have suddenly realised that they don't have to play with what's his name, thingamajig from
Peterman.
Peterman or Matt Barkley. They can actually play with someone who might be a top 32 quarterback one day. If I can pay Josh Allen a compliment.
Yeah.
And they've suddenly been like, oh, wow, cool, let's actually play some football. It was quite interesting to see after Josh Allen's rushing touchdown, which, by the way, was quite cool. Reminded me a bit of Cam, how he just stiff-armed that defender. Him and Shady proper like celebrating and like getting into it and getting hyped. I really enjoyed watching that. And you know me, I hate the Bills. They're Panthers 2.0 and they're suffering from the same incidents that we are, i.e. Calvin Benjamin. God bless their souls.
Shady? Has he done it? Has he done anything this year? Like,
well, he's suited up a couple of times and
I'm
probably got some mud in his cleats.
I didn't pick him.
I warned you. Because I warned you. You were going to pick him and I warned you. You're welcome.
Because last year he was great. But he just seems to have...
They traded away some important pieces of their O-line. But yeah, did you see that Josh Allen throw where...
was it where he's completely surrounded?
Yeah, the 75-yarder. Yeah.
And this is the thing, he's dangerous.
He is, because
he's got a big arm and he can
do something, the
whole length of the pitch.
It's like they called a Hail Mary at the end of the second half, and I was just thinking, if you could put any quarterback in there for a Hail Mary that's not called Patrick Mahomes, it would probably be Josh Allen, just because Josh Allen could probably throw it from the Buffalo Stadium to the New York Stadium if he really needed to.
Yeah. This game there, I think, is more about the Jags.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Do you reckon he could release it right at the start?
Mark's still on.
Sorry, I just think it's so cool. Do you reckon he could release it at the start, like straight away, but send it so high that it just floats for long enough to someone to sprint to the other end of the pitch?
I don't know. If we ever meet him, we can ask him to do that.
Yeah.
So, hashtag get NFLementary to meet Josh Allen, and I'll tell him he's a top 32 quarterback. I agree with you, it's on the Jags, and I want to speak about the Fournette ejection. So I watched the interview you did after. If you don't know, Leonard Fournette, the running back for the Jags, who, he has a history on the show of me calling him rubbish. Or not rubbish, but just overrated, and the other two telling me I'm stupid, and Mark always brings up the fact that he clocked the quickest speed last year or something like that. So Leonard Fournette wasn't even on the field when this fight happened. Carlos Hyde was the running back, and it was the catch by, was it Moncrief?
I think so.
Where Moncrief thought he got a touchdown and the rest ruled him down at the 1. Great catch, great throw, great play all round. You're on the 1 yard line, you've got Leonard Fournette. This is like Jags territory, pound it in, get your touchdown, everyone's happy. But then I think Shaq Lawson, there was a bit of argy-bargy like there always is in the NFL, and no matter what, that's always going to stay. You can't cut that out. Then Shaq Lawson starts, I think Fournette said he hit Carlos Hyde in the back of his helmet, and Fournette from the sideline ran in and just started beating up Shaq Lawson. And then his justification was, that's my brother. I'm not going to let him do that to my brother. Yeah, sure, that's an admirable attitude for I just don't see. If I was Doug Marrone, I'd be fuming, because especially the way the Jags offense has gone this season, I don't think it's the correct way to do things, but the way that the Jags offense is doing things is they are running through Fournette. And given the context of the game, it's a close game. It's not a blowout loss where you can be like, oh, he's clearly frustrated. Like you would be frustrated if you were in a close game with the Bills, but that's beside the point. It was a game they should have won, and a game they had a real chance of winning. And his ejection and this subsequent ban just doesn't seem worth it in any way, shape, or form.
The saddest thing with Fournette is they've been waiting for him to come back from injury. He plays one game, gets ejected. I think in terms of the way that they use him, I think it's perfectly fine the way they use him, because it's the way Dallas uses Ezekiel Elliott, and they win games when they have quarterback play which is passable. With Blake Bortles, they don't have that. I think if they had someone like an Alex Smith, which I thought they should have gotten, in the first place because he was available. They made it clear they wanted him gone. You got a safe pair of hands to throw the ball accurately, and you can still run. So in that respect, I don't think it's a problem. The Jags' problem at this point now is they are having to, especially because of what Ramsey was saying at the beginning of the season, they're having to basically accept the fact that everyone that he called out for being trash, they have to lose to. And they've lost to them all.
Yeah.
They've lost to them all. The only one they did beat was Eli, and that was in the first game. So, and then they fire their coordinator.
Yeah, this is something we should probably talk about.
What's his problem?
Well,
fair enough. Neither their offense nor defense has been playing well enough that it kind of
and I think it does come down to coaching and play calling quite a lot.
It doesn't.
I know, right? I know Bortles is bad, and I know that if your quarterback is bad, it's tough to make your offense functional. But what I will say is, well, they have Saquon in fairness.
Are you comparing Eli Manning to Blake Bortles?
Yes.
Max is having his weekly scheduled Blake Bortles meltdown. Max just doesn't like other quarterbacks being compared to Blake Bortles. We had Trubisky last week, Manning this week. What I will say is,
Eli Manning is a 2-time.
I don't know. I'm
champion.
with you. I don't think Eli Manning is in the same conversation as Bortles. I just think it's funny. They're also incredibly different players.
They are.
Eli, I would bank on Eli to make a throw between 10 and 15 yards. Blake Bortles, I would bank on to make a throw of like 1.5 yards.
He can't. He gets intercepted on the screen.
I feel like for Blake Bortles' sake, his accuracy stats should be buffered every time he successfully hands the ball off to a running back. But anyway, with the way the Jags have been calling plays, there's a thread by someone called Warren Sharp, who's like a football analyst. I think I've spoken about him before, and basically he writes about how the Jags lost the Steelers game in the playoffs last year and the Steelers game this year by atrocious play calling in the third and fourth quarter, where something like 89% of their first down plays were runs up the middle. And when you're being that, and that's across the whole game, it went up to 100% when they had the lead in the third and fourth quarter. And when you are just calling those plays, and I know he's limited by Blake Bortles, but at the same time, whatever he did in the playoffs last year made Blake Bortles tick, and he will find a job elsewhere because maybe
some to the playoffs. So.
And he made Bortles successful for however short-lived that was, and to do that requires some real offensive genius, to be honest. But I do think it was probably time to move on. And they're moving on from Bortles as well. Good. They'll probably shop him this season. Whether anyone will bite, I don't know. And they've kind of suckered themselves into at least another year of him, I imagine. I don't know the details of the contract. But I don't think anything's necessarily going to change with this offensive coordinator hiring or with Bortles being benched, because let's be honest, it's Cody Kessler. It's kind of like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But nothing's going to change in Jacksonville until they have the mindset change of you can't just play football from the 1980s and win anymore. I
truly think they did it the wrong way around, though. They should have benched Bortles permanently first and seen what this coordinator can do with a guy. Yeah. Well, no, because even then, you can't bank on Cody Kessler.
No.
For me, I would have wanted to see what he can do with a legitimate quarterback.
Yeah.
Such as a Teddy Bridgewater. Or a Colin Kaepernick,
at least like a
something.
Potential quarterback. It doesn't necessarily need to be like a world beater. Just give him a chance.
Exactly. I think they did it the wrong way around. I think the Jags are stuck in this mire now they can't get out of, because I think by the time they get this quarterback situation sorted, their defense will be gone. The guys will have left, players will have retired.
They'll just go to
With a defense like that, they're going to move to where the success is.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them particularly have loyalties to Jacksonville, because they were almost brought in as mercenaries just to because Jacksonville were going to be the successful team. And now that they're not the successful team, they'll just move on to someone that will be successful. The Browns potentially with all that cap room. The Bears building that defense. Other players might want to get in on that. Yeah.
That would be unfair.
That would be the return of the monsters.
If you had Khalil Mack, Calais Campbell, Jalen Ramsey,
AJ Boy.
Oh God.
Yeah, Eddie Jackson, Adrian Amos.
I mean, you wouldn't lose, really.
Aaron Donald, just check
Are we playing Madden here?
Yeah. Imagine Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Calais Campbell on that line.
That would be just Von Miller. Just say all the best defensive players in the league.
Why not?
Bobby Wagner and Kuechly at linebacker.
Oh, that is just sick.
Bobby Wagner is incredible. Can I just say this? Because I'm such a Kuechly fan, I've always had a bit of a grudge against him. But man, that guy's good. You can just tell. Fair play to him. I think he's definitely played better than Kuechly this season, and now he's pushing Kuechly for the title of best linebacker in the NFL, and I don't think that's necessarily a topic up for debate. I just want to say that because I can be quite a humble Panthers fan sometimes when it's not about Cam Newton. So, well done, Bobby Wagner. I do quite like you. You are why. There are quite a lot of things I still want to talk about, but I'm going to start prioritising. We need to talk about the Browns-Bengals game, and we need to talk about the disrespect that was thrown at Hugh Jackson by certain Browns players.
I watched it, and was it disrespect or was it an endearing moment where he gave it to his previous head coach who had guided him through his NFL career, and he was
You're too innocent. Shut up.
He was just like, "Oh, thank you for everything you've done for us here."
He's thanking him now, all right?
When the Bengals tweeted out that they'd hired Hugh Jackson as assistant to the coach or whatever, special assistant to the coach, Demaris Randall quote tweeted it with 2 laughing face emojis. That man does not feel endearment towards Hugh Jackson. For those of you who don't know, basically,
Baker apparently.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson, the former Browns coach, has since gone to the Bengals and is now their. Is he their defensive coordinator? Or is he just...
So Hugh Jackson, he is just the special assistant. They've made up this job role to give him a job.
Defense or something.
Why did they pick him up?
I don't know.
Because Marvin Lewis loves him. Because he used to be the defensive coordinator.
Really?
Yeah. Which is an even bigger joke. Now he's running for defense. Why?
And then Demaris Randall, who's a Browns player who, like I said, has been quite outspoken in his hatred of Hugh Jackson, picked off a ball from Andy Dalton, the Bengals quarterback, and just gave it to Hugh Jackson and then ran away. And it seemed like Hugh Jackson was trying to make it into a joke and Demaris Randall just wasn't having it. And then after the game, obviously all the players shake hands. It's a nice time for players who used to play with each other to be like, "Oh, how you doing?" The quarterbacks always have their little meeting in the middle and they're like, "Good game, glad you got the contract," stuff like that. The coaches always shake hands. Hugh Jackson, who is, I think, in the same way we're the self-appointed #1 UK NFL podcast, Hugh Jackson is the self-appointed mentor to Baker Mayfield, i.e. neither of those things are true.
No.
Hugh Jackson runs up to Baker and you can hear it on the audio and it's so cringy. He's like, "Baker, hey Baker, Baker." And Baker Mayfield just completely ignores him until he taps him on the shoulder and then he's like, "Oh, all right." And then he like shakes his hand and goes in for the hug and Baker Mayfield just walks away. And yeah, look, like Shannon Sharp has had quite a lot to say about this, and he says that basically, what was his phrase? It was like, "My mama used to say to me, the person who's told you stepping on today might lead to the ass that y'all be kissing in a couple of years."
Yeah.
Which is classic Shannon Sharp. But equally, like it's Hugh Jackson. I'm sorry, no one's going to be kissing his behind. I'm not sure if
Imagine
I can say that word.
Hugh Jackson started the next Patriots movement. Like
right,
Belichick.
let's stop. I don't know what you're thinking.
I have a great imagination, Mark, but I can't imagine that. I don't think anyone can.
It's hilarious to me. And I agree with Shannon Sharp if it was anyone else but Hugh Jackson. So, yeah.
I don't necessarily...
I mean, Hugh Jackson came close to ruining Baker Mayfield's career.
I think
exactly.
Baker's reasons were essentially like, he asked us to play for him and then he went to the Bengals, who apparently have some rivalry with the Browns. I'm not going to lie. Like, rivalries are for good teams, not for bad teams. So, like, quieten down. But
it is an interstate rivalry between two Ohio teams.
Come on, like rivalry, really? You just don't like each other that much. I wouldn't call it a rivalry. Rivalry evokes images of like.
Do you know what though? Right, that AFC North is quite incestuous. Todd Haley. No. Todd Haley's moved around.
Steelers, Browns.
Yeah. Like Hugh Jackson's moved around. He's been to the Bengals twice.
Yeah.
Marvin Lewis has run around. It's weird. I don't get it.
It's because they're all close to each other. I think it's the most like geographically close division. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me on that. But what was I saying? Yeah. So Baker's justification was like he asked us to play for him, and then he went to our rivals, which rivals, and like no coach is going to stand there and be like, "Oh, don't play for me because I might be leaving soon." They're obviously going to be like, "Play for me, come on." And then if someone offers you a job, you're going to take it. Like, this isn't really... As much as I hate Hugh Jackson, it's not on him that he went to the Bengals. No. It's on Marvin Lewis for hiring him, which is just symptomatic of everything that Marvin Lewis is.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Baker has any allegiance to any team. I get the sense that, like, whoever pays him the money, he'll go with.
I disagree. I think he will be...
He'll go down in history, I think. I might say this right here, right now. As the Browns quarterback.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think he already is the Browns quarterback.
Same way, is it Joe Namath is the Jets quarterback? Tom Brady is the Patriots quarterback. Cam Newton is the Panthers quarterback. Baker will be the Browns quarterback. Breeze is the Saints quarterback. I'm trying to think of a funny one. Mullins is the 49ers quarterback. Or Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Bortles is.
I think
no
he
one's
is.
quarterback.
Yeah, it's funny to me. I think it's great. Baker Mayfield fully understands that Hugh Jackson being gone is best for
trash,
business.
Yeah.
Greg Williams is running the show right now, and he's, 2-1?
How much that is to do with Greg Williams?
In 3 games, he has a better overall record than
Hugh Jackson did over, 2 years?
2 years, yeah. So, there you go.
Do you think the Browns are advertising themselves well to any potential head coach candidates?
Yes.
I agree with you.
Because they're young, they're healthy, they're fit,
they've shown they can
talented.
do it all. So a couple of weeks ago against Atlanta, it was the Nick Chubb show. This week against the Bengals, it was the Baker show and the receiver show. Might be the defense has been pretty clutch throughout the year. Yeah, Denzel Ward. They've got so many young, exciting pieces that you can build an incredible team around. They basically bought
a new team with their draft picks because they had all of them. So
and shout out to John Dorsey, who's my favourite general manager in the league now. I'm just going to say it. I love the fact that he does his sweatshirts in a Cleveland Browns. His press conferences in a Cleveland Browns sweatshirt just fulfills me. Nice. I love that. Shout out to John Dorsey.
Who do you reckon will get it? Is there anyone at the moment that you can see?
At the moment, no, because I'm slightly worried that Mike, not Mick McCarthy. Mick McCarthy, incidentally, was named the Republic of Ireland manager after my accidental outburst last week. Mike McCarthy, I think, will stay in Green Bay. That's not the right decision.
Green Bay?
Green Bay. Green Bay.
You think he will stay?
Yeah, I don't think it's the right decision, but I think he will.
Aaron Rodgers has too much power.
It will be
it's a very political thing.
It's the right decision to fire him just because they need a fresh, to mutually part ways because they just need a fresh start. But I think he'll stay, so I think he'll be out of it. I think they need to follow the McVay model or the Shanahan model or the Nagy model. Yeah, they need to pluck someone from college football, which is why a lot of people are saying Lincoln Riley.
It won't happen.
I don't think that will happen. He's too comfortable. Is it Michigan he's at?
I can't. No, because Lincoln Riley used to
Oklahoma, isn't it?
Yeah, so
some kind of O team. Yeah.
So I don't think they'll get anyone worth their while from college because right now when you look at those college teams like in Alabama or anyone else, you're not going to get those guys because they are far too successful and far too comfortable.
Yeah.
Why would you then risk it all to come to Cleveland?
Michigan have just fired, or Michigan State, I can't remember, just fired their coach, the Harbaugh, who's not.
Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
They fired him.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Well, he might come back to the NFL.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking.
Because he obviously was there before with the 49ers. He took them to the Super Bowl.
And
he was good.
He managed to transition an offense from working for Alex Smith to working for Colin Kaepernick.
But the thing with Harbaugh, and I'll say this, is his firing was completely unjustified because they had 2 really good winning seasons. Their best seasons for literally decades. And then they fired him after an 8-8 season. And then they've been trashed since.
Yeah.
He is a very good coach.
As much as the 49ers are on the rise.
He's a very, very good coach. I think him coming to Cleveland would be immense.
I kind of want to shotgun him for the Panthers, but, we're not. I don't think we'll fire Rivera, unfortunately.
Fire a clock. Do you reckon if the What
did you say?
Fire a clock.
Yeah.
No, fire o'clock.
Oh, right.
Yeah. What is it? Is it Black Monday? The Monday after the season finishes when they just fire everyone. Oh,
I'd love to see Rivera's name on that list.
Yeah,
I'd pay good money for that.
If the Panthers don't make the playoffs.
Well, no, I think we'll just keep him just because.
Really?
We need to get rid of him and we need to get rid of Marty Herney, our general manager. I keep our coordinators currently, unless it's John, isn't it? Or is it John Harbaugh who coaches the Ravens?
John is in charge of the Ravens, yeah.
Yep, so it's Jim.
It's Jim that's coming from college.
Why do they have to have the 2 names with the same first letter? It's just annoying. Right, 5 minutes left. I briefly want to...
Vikings, Green Bay?
Yes, we need to speak about... Are the Packers down and out?
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's a joke that every week they're like, the Packers can still make the playoffs. Christ's sake, they could be 4-10. The Packers can still make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs because they haven't won on the road since the middle of last year. And frankly, Rodgers isn't that good anymore. Or he isn't that good this year.
Season, yeah. And I think he's just playing with a busted knee. And it's the fact the Packers are so desperate for him to be good. Apologies, you just heard my burp, by the way. Yeah. The Packers are so desperate for him to be good that they will just put, I feel like they'd literally patch him up with, like in a cartoon where they just put...
plaster on it.
Yeah, I couldn't get the word panther out of my head, and I was like, you don't use a panther to heal a wound, use it to cause a wound.
But to be fair, of this game, I reckon that whoever lost was out of the playoff picture.
I think the Viking. Yeah, actually, I agree with you.
Yeah,
based on the Viking schedule. Yeah.
The thing with the Packers ultimately, though, is I think Rodgers is so mentally exhausted in this mindset of everyone isn't helping me that he isn't helping himself.
I agree with you.
And that's why I do think it's vital that they have changes this offseason.
We spoke about it a lot a couple of weeks ago about how I think it was after the oh my god, I've got Panthers on the brain. The Packers Patriots game, where you just saw a Patriots offense that makes everything easy. So like against the Jets, they didn't blow them out. They only won. I mean, they won 27-9. That's quite good. But it wasn't the kind of 54-0 thrashing that some people might have predicted. But they won, and they knew their run game was working, so they just lent on their run game and they ran Michelle into the ground. And Brady didn't have to do that much, and that was fine.
This is why the Patriots, I think, are going to be scary going into the playoffs, because we've kind of seen what the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Rams can do. They can put up those big points. They can do those big blowout games. But the Patriots seem to kind of just be like, yeah, we'll get the win. Admittedly, they're on 8-3.
Well, I have this written down. Are the Patriots sneaking up on a home field advantage and potentially the number one seed?
No.
So we saw the Steelers lose. The Chiefs still have to play the Chargers again.
No.
The Chargers can't beat people in their division.
True, yeah. Are they sneaking? Well,
no.
Will they
No.
overtake the Steelers at the very least?
I think they could take home field advantage.
Of Kansas City?
Yes, because all they need to do is have Kansas lose one more game.
Yeah.
And they could get it
because they've got the tiebreaker.
Because they have a tiebreaker of beating Kansas City.
Oh,
and Kansas City still have to play.
2,
you're right. Yeah. They have to play the Chargers, but they also have to play the Seahawks in Seattle. Yeah. That could be. I know it's the Chiefs and everything, but Seattle is like Arrowhead in that you don't go there and win that often. Yeah.
Like Bank of America was.
The Seahawks have something to play for.
Yeah.
And that defense isn't that good.
Well, so did the Chiefs, because the Chiefs need.
It's not the same level like the Seahawks.
I think it is. The Chiefs need that.
Of all the teams in the NFL, I would back the Seahawks in like a scrappy game. I feel like they really play like towards the end of the season when their playoff picture is on the line. They always perform. We saw it last season. We saw the season before.
In fairness, I'll say this. The Chiefs don't need home field advantage to win in the playoffs. Firstly, they just need to win. I think we're forgetting the fact that they can't win, but we'll see now what the difference is. They need home field advantage because they don't want to have to go to New England again.
Yeah.
Because if you've got to go for New England in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So,
which is just disappointing.
They need to have New England come to Kansas City and come to their stadium. Yeah. I don't know how much of a difference it will make because it is New England in the playoffs, but I give them a much better chance.
Yeah, definitely. We've got about a minute left. There's not really any more topics. I want to briefly say about the Steelers. Seeing as we spoke about them, they need to start running through. For the season. Yeah, Dalton out for the season, but it's the Bengals, isn't it? Picked up Tom Savage off waivers.
I know they picked up Tom Savage. So if anything, they're running up. Told you this.
Steelers need to start running James Conner more, not only for the sake of my fantasy team, but also for the sake of their offense. I lost in the fantasy this week by 1 point, less than 1 point, 0.84 or something like that.
Can Denver still make the playoffs?
Yes.
Let's go Case Keenum.
And
it's not about Case Keenum, it's about Chubb and Miller.
Tampa Bay won, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Tampa.
We got our 4th win for the season.
Yeah, big up. Good game.
First win since week 4.
All right.
Right, that's all we've got time for this week, Mark. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday with our final show of the series. Please make sure you listen and it'll be a good one. All the best. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye. Bye.
On air, 1350 AM and online.
This is the University of York's student radio station.